About 6 weeks ago, I swapped from using ChatGPT to Claude, and that was only 6 weeks ago, and it's made an absolute phenomenal difference in my business. I've been able to automate so many parts of my business. So what I want to do today is just give you a brief overview of how you can use Claude to run your business or to run so many elements of your business. Now, it's going to be a simple demonstration. I'm going to tell you what I've done, and I'm going to show you, in many cases, examples of how to actually do it. So let's get on with the show. So if you are a business owner, and if you're not already using Claude, it's something that you seriously need to look into right away, because it can absolutely transform your business. The end result is it's saving you money. It's buying you time, because Claude can do a lot of the tasks which you might be currently doing manually or your staff might be doing. So it's going to save you an absolute shed loads of money, and it's going to make you more productive. It's going to give you all the ideas. I'm not talking about the usual ChatGPT stuff on, hey, write me a simple blog, that type of stuff. That's basic stuff, right? This is Claude for business. So if you're a business user, you must watch this. So I'm going to talk you through all this. I'm going to show you 10 settings which you need to firstly turn on to make Claude more powerful and to make it work for your business, and 7 things I actually do with it. Now, with Claude, you can get Claude to run on your browser, or you can download the app. Right? So what I would strongly recommend you do is download Claude, because it can do 10 times more things than just the normal browser can do. So let's get on with the show. This is just saying what I've already told you about. So what I'm going to do, just in a nutshell, I'm going to use 3 ways to use Claude. I'm going to tell you about the settings, things that you can do, and then I'm going to give you some bonuses. So just keep watching till the end, because it is super important that you cover all this. Okay. Now, Claude works in three separate ways. There's Claude Chat, Claude Cowork, and Claude Code. Bit of a tongue twister. Now, Claude Chat is just like, if most people know, ChatGPT. You can just type in quick piece of information like, hey, what's this, or how do you do this, or what's this sort of recipe? Yeah. So it gives you very quick answers. So that's the basic version of Chat. But we want to now upscale. We want to use Claude Cowork. Claude Cowork is whereby it's acting as though it's your staff member, or it's doing the things that you're actually doing. You actually get to see, you can actually get to see the mouse moving around the screen. So it'll actually do the implementation. It won't just tell you, it'll actually do things. It'll interact with your computer. It'll interact with the files on your computer, and so much more. Then you get Claude Code. That is more for if you're a website developer, or you're a developer and you know how to get into the nuts and bolts of coding. You want to build applications, websites, and so much more. Then Claude Code is for you. But on this session, we're not covering any of that. We're just covering Claude Cowork. Okay, so let's get on with the show. And the first thing I'm going to tell you about is the settings. These are absolutely essential settings that you must turn on to get the most out of Claude itself. So firstly is the memory. Now, first thing you need to do is to tell Claude that, hey, everything that I'm doing, I want you to remember it, right? So what you can do is you can go inside your Claude settings. If you go to your profile, if you click on settings, and then if you go to capabilities, then in the memory section here, you'll see this option here, right? Search and reference chats allows Claude to search for relevant details of past chat. So basically, once you've had a conversation with Claude, you want to remember that conversation. So when you're asking Claude to do something in the future again, rather than telling it from scratch, it will already know about it. So just turn this button on. By default, it'll be off. Turn it on. The second thing is generate memory from your chat history. So this allows Claude to remember relevant context from your chat. The setting controls memory from both chats and projects as well. So if you've done a project, it will remember all the information. So you don't need to keep telling Claude. So you get it. So the more you're using Claude, the more it's learning about your business. So the more you can have, less you can have to tell it, hey, I don't like my writing styles like this, or I discussed this project with you. And so it already has some context to work with. So turn that on. Okay. Then in my settings here, what I then talk about is, so I've covered that. And then, so now we want to import chat. Now, you might have been using ChatGPT in the past. So remember, this is the setup work that we're initially doing to get your Claude to work properly for you. Now, if you've been using ChatGPT as an example or another model, what we want to do is that we can boost how quickly Claude learns about your business by taking information from what you've been learning at the moment and putting it into Claude. And the easiest way you can do that is by clicking this button here, which is called Start Import. And what will happen when you click on Start Import, it'll give you this piece of text. So export all of my stored memories and blah, blah, blah. It's quite a long text. So you copy that, and then you paste that into your current application. Like, for example, you might be using ChatGPT. What ChatGPT, if that's what you're using, will do, it'll have a whole memory dump and tell you everything about all the chats that you've been having, what you like, what you don't like, and about your business, and everything that you know it knows about your business, it'll be dumped. Now, what's absolutely essential, which this is not telling you, is that you essentially need to copy and paste whatever it tells you into Claude. But before you copy and paste it into Claude, what is absolutely imperative is you check everything, you read everything. It would just be a long text file, you read everything. Because when I first did it, it thought I opened up, it thought I ran a certain type of business as well as my agency. And I had to correctly say, I don't run that business. That is not mine. That business belongs to my client. So you could do the same as well, because you want to feed it good information. So you copy and then you paste that into here and you click on Add to Memory. So what that will do is it will boost how quickly Claude understands your business based on what you've been using it for in other applications such as ChatGPT. Let's get on with the show. And then this is really key. So every company has a project. So you might have several projects. For example, in our business, we might have a project for each one of our clients. So each one of our clients, we do different marketing tasks for them. So we do SEO, Google Ads, and lead generation, and so on. So what you can do, you can set up a project, and then whenever you want to talk about that client, you go into your project and you start telling Claude what you want to know or what you want it to do. What it'll then do is everything inside that project, it'll remember it, right? So for example, we've got a project called Aim Pro Client, and here's the client name, right? And then what we can do, if we want Claude to act in a certain way, like for example, you can say to Claude, you can give it custom instructions. So you can say, you can tell Claude who you are, the tone of voice that you want to use, the goals, and then if you've got some logos or color schemes or SOPs or any files, you can put that into that project. So then when you're talking about that project, Claude always remembers, and it uses the guidance that it tells you. It uses the tone of voice, it uses the colors, your logos, and everything else. So if you want to do a project, for example, let's say, for example, if you've got a double glazing windows company, and you might have a project, because you might be doing a really big project for a commercial building, then called ABC Company. So you can set up a project called ABC Company, and everything you're telling Claude to do, or everything you want to know, you go to that project and you start talking to Claude, and you start telling it, hey, who that company is, what type of a client it is, who are the managers, who do you need to report to, what are the email addresses, and so on. So then when you chat to Claude, it always remembers everything you told it about that project. So setting up projects is absolutely a must. Just keep adding more and more projects as you go on. We then go on to schedule tasks. Now, this is where the real power kicks in. Now, you can go to projects. So you can go to settings, and then in settings, you go to scheduled tasks. And then what you can do, you can tell Claude what you want it to do every single day. For example, let's say every single day you want it to write you an email about you want to write an email saying, hey, here's one email summarizing what are the important emails I've had, what are the priority tasks, what are the least priority tasks, and so on. And then in your scheduled task, you can say, hey, run this task every single week or every single morning at 8 o'clock in the morning. And it'll do that every single day at 8 o'clock in the morning. Let me give you another example. So let's say, for example, I can say, if I want to write a blog once a week, okay, you can tell ChatGPT to write me a blog once a week on a Friday at 9 a.m. in the morning, and then put it into draft mode into my website, and it will do that for you. It'll write the blog, and it'll put it into your website, and it'll put it into draft mode. So it can do so much more. It can say, you can set up scheduled tasks for, hey, look at my calendar every single morning and give me a summary of all the priority appointments that I've got and what times they are. And it will do that on every single morning, or however often you've told it to do. So scheduled tasks are absolutely essential for your business. Just think about the things that you're doing on a regular basis. Because it could be like, for example, you might be taking one Google Sheet and just summarizing that and putting the information into another Google Sheet every single morning. Now, rather than you doing it, just tell Claude to do it. Give your Claude a name. I've given my Claude a name called Pam Claude, just for a bit of fun. So you can give your Claude whatever name and just treat it like a person, except it's an AI person. Okay. Then you've got connectors. Now, this is where the real power comes in. So what you can do, you can ask Claude to connect to your calendars, to your Gmail, to, if you've got HubSpot, you can get it to connect to your HubSpot or Asana or any other software that you've got on a regular basis, right? So what you can do then is you can just tell Claude that, hey, for example, summarize my unread Gmails, flag urgent replies, draft responses for me, or the draft responses for the top 3 emails. Because you've connected it, right, you can now tell Claude to actually go and get some information. And the way you do that is, if I just go my Claude, you can go inside Claude and you can click on connectors here. And then over here, you've got all these connectors, Airtable and everything else. So, or you can search for various type of connectors. So you can type in the name over here. Like, as you can see, you can connect to Adobe, Google Drive, Dovetail, Fathom, and HubSpot, Figma, Zoom, Canva. You can get it to connect to Canva and create your design. So you can connect it, and you can tell Claude that every day I want you to go inside Canva and I want you to create me a social media post, just as an example. Okay. Now, guys, if you're liking this sort of content so far and you want to learn more about Claude, or more about not just getting more business, not just growing your business, but getting more leads, sales, and optimizing your websites and so on. If you want to learn how AI can be used for your business, do me a favor and please hit that subscribe button. I'd really appreciate it, because if you are enjoying this video so far, and if you watched it to this extent, then why don't you just hit that subscribe button? It's going to take you 2 seconds, and you will be one of the 30% of people who watch my content on a regular basis and actually have helped me to send these videos to a wider audience and to help more business owners just like yourself. So do hit that subscribe button, please. The other thing that you can do, you can mount a folder. So what you can do is, every time you do something, you can say, I want you to work on this folder on my computer. So because you want to keep your computer organized, right? So if you've got a project, so what you can do before you do anything, you can just let's go to settings. So you can click on that back. So you can click on this plus symbol here. So work in a project, and you can click on here and you can choose a folder for your particular computer. So whenever you're working on that project or you want to work on a particular task, it's always working in that folder. So any files it creates, it will create it in that folder. So if you've got, let's say, for example, you might want to keep all your clients in separate folders. So whenever you're asking it client client A or client B, it'll put client A files into client A's folder, client B's files into client B's folder. So you keep your computer a lot more organized. Skills. Now, skills is really great because what you can do is if you, for example, let's say if you optimize your website, or if you, let me just give this example, right? So if you write your PowerPoints as one example in a certain way, so you always like to follow a certain structure. So you like to have a summary, and you like to have the contents table, and then you like to have in midway, you like to have a call to action, and then you always like to have a guide in it, and so on. You can create a skill called My Presentations. Then whenever you tell it to create a presentation, it will use the skill that you've told it to do, right? So what I mean by that is that, like, for example, previously you might have said, Claude, write me a monthly report for client X, and it'll just write a monthly report. And that could be another skill that you can do for creating reports. How do you like your reports? So once you've created that skill, you can say to Claude that, hey, write a monthly report for client X using the monthly client report skill that you created. So then it'll look at that skill and say, hey, okay, I'm going to create a report, but rather than me just guessworking what the structure should be, I'm going to look at the skills and I'm going to use that report, that skill, to create that report. So it's always working in a way that you want it to work. So these are now I'm going to go on to things that you can actually do, guys. If you want me to send you a complete guide on this, what I'm talking about, a detailed guide into your inbox, just comment the word Claude and I'll send it right over to you. So just in the description box below, comment the word Claude. Obviously, by now you probably subscribed and hit the like button as well. Okay, let's get on with the show. So here's an example of something that you can do for real, right? So let's say, for example, if you've taken a call from a client and you've made certain notes, right? So you can say to Claude Cowork, okay, let's say if based on the conversation that you've had, let's say you want to send them an email about a discovery call. So you can say to the Claude that here's some notes about a call I had with client X. Draft a proposal and invite them to a discovery call using my standard structure: executive summary, understanding, approach, scope, timeline, investment, and next steps. Aim pro tone, confident, specific, no fluff. So you can do that. Okay, and it will create this amazing email for you. Or if you already created a skill, you can say, create me an email for a discovery call using this particular skill set, whatever skill that you created. So that's a real example of that you can use with Claude Cowork. Now, let's say, for example, in every business you have CSVs, right? So you might have a CSV which is really messy, right? What you can say to Claude is, I'm uploading a sales performance sheet. Can you please tidy it up? And it's very messy. Also, give me a summary chart. I can't spell chart, showing the best performers and the worst performers by sales value and the number of sales. So you can upload the spreadsheet, right, into Claude just by clicking on the plus symbol here and clicking on the upload files, and it will analyze that spreadsheet for you. It'll tidy it up. It'll do whatever you told it to do, right? So let's face it, in your business, somebody probably gives you a document which you need to tidy up, or it's too complicated to understand, or a spreadsheet which is messy and it's not really right, or you've got a spreadsheet and you just want a certain piece of information out of it. Like, can you summarize this spreadsheet and just give me the top 10 clients, or the top latest clients, or the best achievers? Or can you give me, tell me in the spreadsheet, everyone who's requested a quote, for example. So you can upload files and you can tell Claude to do something with it. Now, that is something that you typically give to either a member of your staff or do it yourself, but Claude can do it for you in minutes. So we've gone over the proposed a call already. So weekly reports, right? So you can tell Claude that pull last week's Google Ads campaign spend conversions from a Google account. And remember, we can connect it to your Google account as an example. And give me a one-page summary. Then turn this into a scheduled task to run every single morning. So what you're doing here is you're telling it to do a task, or write your report, and then schedule it. So in the command, you don't even need to go to the options. You can just tell Claude that, hey, it's a great report that you created for me. Can you just schedule it and give it to me every morning? And because you've connected it to your Gmail, email, your calendars, everything else, it will automatically email you that report every single morning itself without you having to touch anything. Competitors. So that's a great one, right? So if you want to research who your competitors are, you can say researchcompetitor.com, whoever your competitor is, look at their homepage, their pricing, and the top 5 blogs. Tell me about their positioning, their target audience offer, visible pricing, and 3 weaknesses I could exploit. Output as a Word file. Now, everybody wants to know who their competitors are. So rather than you guessworking about your competitors, you can tell Claude to research this particular competitor and just tell me something about it. And then you can use that information to your advantage to tailor your business to beat the competition in effect. Don't forget, they might also be doing the same to you as well. Okay, so it works for both ways. Then you can get content from one brief. So what you can do, let's say if you want to write a blog or some type of content, you can say, here's a 3-sentence idea. So you can give it a bit of an idea, turn it into a 1,500 word blog post, keep the voice consistent across all of it. So you give it some context like, hey, I wish to write a blog about how to adjust your microphone, or how to set up your camera, or how to install a door handle if you're a DIY person. And it'll write the blog up for you because you're giving it some context, right? And you're giving it some guidelines. And remember, what you never, ever, ever want to do is simply copy and paste it, because that's just AI. You must take it and you must change it to your own voice. You amend it how you want to amend it, but make it yours. Don't just take AI content and put it onto your website and so on. Okay. So here's some other things that you can do. Here's some other tips that you can do. You can say, look at my Gmail for the last 48 hours, group messages into urgent, can wait, newsletters, and noise. For urgent, draft replies in my voice and save it in Gmail draft. So what it'll do, whatever it thinks is an urgent email, it will look at that and it'll write a response back and it put it inside your draft folder. Then all you've got to do is to look at that response, edit it, and send it. And if you didn't agree with it, you just tell it, hey, that's incorrect, because remember early on we set the memory. Now it's going to remember, so it's going to get better and better and better. Okay, your meeting notes. So you can say to Claude that, hey, here's my meeting notes. Extract action items with owners and due dates. For actions assigned to me, create calendar blocks. For others, draft follow-up email. So it can actually go inside your calendars or your task software, and it can summarize those tasks which have been assigned to you. It's so, so powerful. So your morning dashboard. So let's say, for example, every single morning you want to come in and you want to see a dashboard of everything that's happening. So you can say to Claude that create an artifact called morning dashboard with today's calendar events, and then top 5 unread priority emails and my Asana due tasks. Oh, I'll open it every morning and it create a dashboard for you. So when you come in, it's got that dashboard for you. So you know exactly what you've got to do, because it's all done the preparation for you. It's acting like your PA or your virtual assistant. It is absolutely amazing. Now, I'm not going to go into this too much. Claude can work in your Chrome browser. It can work in Excel. You can have a plugin and get it to work in Excel. So you can type what you want it to do and it'll do it in Excel with the information that you want. And like I said, You got Claude Code, which will develop applications and websites for you, but that's for a developer. Okay. So guys, if you want to get my free checklist, just comment the word Claude and I'll send it over to you. Okay, it'll be an in-depth guide. Just comment the word Claude in the description box below, and I'll send it right over to you. If you've got any questions, let me know about Claude. Please, guys, hit that subscribe button, and especially if you've watched the video up until now, because if you have, it means that you're interested in my topics and you like probably what I've just said. And you can probably relate to how this can affect your business. If you've got any questions more about Claude, about anything that I've said in this video, about how Claude AI can work for your business, just put it in the comments box below and I will get back to each and every single comment. Guys, do remember to hit that subscribe button and I look forward to seeing you on another video. If you've got a video request, then let me know what it is. If at the same time, in the description box below, if you want help with implementing AI into your business, there'll be a link in the comments box below, which will take you to our calendar. Book yourself in and we'll jump onto a call. We'll understand your business and we'll work out how we can implement AI and Claude and other systems into your business. Goodbye, and I'll see you on the next video. Goodbye for now.